Hello, I'm Nido Qubein. Welcome to Side by Side. My guest today got his start in racing as a one-man show. He was the driver, the mechanic, and the engine builder all in one. He went on to build a NASCAR dynasty, with his team earning more than 200 victories. Today, his grandchildren are earning their own successes on the track as part of his team. We're talking fast wheels and good wine with NASCAR Hall of Famer, Mr. Richard Childress.
Funding for Side by Side with Nido Qubein is made possible by...
Here's to those that rise and shine, to friendly faces doing more than their part, and to those who still enjoy the little things. You make it feel like home. Ashley Home Store. This is home.
The Bud Group is a company of everyday leaders making a difference by providing facility solutions through customized janitorial, landscape, and maintenance services.
Coca-Cola Consolidated is honored to make and serve 300 brands and flavors locally. Thanks to our teammates. We are Coca-Cola Consolidated, your local bottler.
Richard, welcome to Side by Side. You are a legend across North Carolina and across America. What you have done has been an amazing life lived well. I got to ask you, you have won 200 victories, and now you have a grandson who's winning championships. How does that feel, Richard?
You know, I like to start out by saying, here's a kid with a dream when I was about 17, 18 years old, and an old $20 race car sitting here today having a conversation with you, talking about my grandsons and the history of RCR and racing. But to have my grandsons driving today, I have two of them, Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon, and they're both winners. They've won championships, and it's just an honor. It does me good to watch them, and now they have their own children, and I've got great-grandchildren for me, so it's an honor to watch it and have fun.
Richard, as a spectator myself, it is a dangerous sport. Did you talk your grandkids into doing it, or did they just wake up one day and say, Grandpa, I want to do that. I want to go out there racing that car, and may God be on my side as I do this dangerous sport?
Well, they were raised in the sport because I was a driver and a car owner, and I was afraid it was going to happen. I tried to get them involved in golf and soccer and football and everything else. But one day, Ty Dillon called me and he said, Pop, you said if we ever want to race, give you a call. The most expensive call I think I've ever had.
How old was he?
He was 13.
Wow.
And Austin was 15.
And what did you do? You took him out in the car?
Took them over to Charlotte, bought a couple of Bandolera cars, smaller cars to get started. And they didn't do too good the first time. Carried them back the second time. It's like a light switch went on, and both of them were good, and they won in everything they've ever driven.
Mm-hmm. So Richard, I want to understand. So is the car really dangerous, or is it built in such a way that the driver is eternally protected when you have a crash?
You know, I think the innovation of safety has came so far. There was a time back when I drove that, there was a lot of drivers that we would lose. And we lost Dale Earnhardt in 2001. And when that happened, it woke everyone up even more about safety. Today, the cars are safer than they've ever been, but accidents can happen, and they will happen in racing, but we do everything we can to keep that driver safe. But there's still that element of danger.
What makes racing so popular?
You know, it's the number 2 sport in America today behind the NFL, and it's getting more and more popular. I think the fans, our spectators, can relate to someone in their car is still a Ford versus Chevy, and on a Monday morning, you win on Sunday, you sell on Monday, and so it's a sport. Then we have great corporations involved, General Motors, Ford. I've been with Dow. We have great companies, Caterpillar. We've got so many great countries that we've been involved with over the years, And to get them in there and get them supporting our sport. And television has carried us to a whole nother level.
And it's a big business, is it not? The sponsorships. I mean, I toured your place, for example. You have a museum there. You have. I was surprised how many engineers you hire.
Yes, today we have close to 50 engineers. The sport's constantly changing, and it's a moving target to stay competitive, just like in anything. And but we've been fortunate. We've been there now, I think, 55, 56 years, and we've been very fortunate. And it goes back to people. You got to have the right people for success. You got to have the right partners, which I call our sponsors, to move to the next level. And the race fans, they play such a major part in our sport.
How does this work? You actually have a team that calls on a company and gets them to sponsor a car, or do they sponsor a driver, or do they sponsor a race? What do they sponsor, and why are there so many decals on a car?
Yeah, well, today's world, it takes so many different companies involved with one team and one driver. We'll have 4 drivers next year. We got 3 this year. We're going to increase ours. But I think it changes year by year. We have some sponsors that will come to us and say, what do we got to do to get involved with you, or with Austin or Ty, whoever the driver may be. And but then we also have a business development group, and I have a company in New York City that we work with that goes and contacts us, and we have a great group of folks at our RCR that's able to go out, and we work for these companies. If we got Coca-Cola as a sponsor, for instance, we work for them. I look at everybody says, you don't have anyone you work for. I work for every sponsor we have. And that's what makes this business so great.
What is the sponsor looking for? Is it viewership on television, number of people who attend the race? What are they looking for?
Some of them like to have it for the TV and the seats and eyeballs in the stands, but a lot of them do it with B2B working, and some of them do it with B2C. So you got to have all of
B2B,
this.
business to business?
Yeah, and business to customer,
yes.
Client. And
you mean they invite him to come, they give him
right.
Sort of a complimentary tickets to come to the races and so on?
Yes, or for instance, we may have a company that we were doing business with that wanted to do business with another company, and we'll hook them up together, and they'll go work together. You know, for instance, Bass Pro Shop and Hook Apparel, we're working on trying to hook them up today, and Textron, which does the Easy Go and the Tracker off-road, and Bass Pro. You know, all of this works together in our sport.
So, Richard, how does Austin get into a race? Does he get invited to go race? Does he apply to be in the race? Do you pay to be in the race? How do they pick which ones are going to race on a given day?
Well, now we have what we call the RTA, which is the Race Teams Alliance, and we have worked a contract with NASCAR that 36 positions are guaranteed to start that race. In Austin, I have 2 of those positions. I'm guaranteed every week we're going to start.
I see.
And in Austin, for instance, he drives for me, our company, and we pay him to drive, and the sponsors that he has endorsements, companies that he endorses on the side. So that's how the drivers are compensated.
And so how does a new driver get into this 36 guaranteed?
The 2 drivers I'm just now hiring for next year run in the Truck Series. It's a series that the Camping World Truck Series, and then now we're going to move them to the Xfinity Series, which is the next level up, like minor league baseball. And then you move them from there, they'll move into the Cup Series like Austin. Austin won championships in the truck, won championships in the Xfinity. Now we're chasing that Cup championship. And Ty won championships in ARCA, so he's moved up and he's went through the different series and won races in them.
Tell me about the pit stop. Most fascinating part to me, the stop and bam, a bunch of people attack that car, change the tires. It seems like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
How many seconds should it be?
Well, it's like poetry in motion. These guys know everything, every movement, every step counts. And we can do a stop today if we do a good stops in the high 11s, 12s are okay, anything in 13 seconds.
11 or 12 seconds.
Yes, that's for 4 tires and 18 gallons of fuel.
My goodness.
And the technology has changed in equipment to get us around the car, to get us to do it. These guys, every one of them are athletes. I mean, we work out, we train them, we have a trainer.
They work full time for you.
Yes.
And they train how to do that.
Yes, and they practice every week. And just like a football team, you got to have a coach and you got to have trainers, and we got all of that at our shop, and medical ladies that work up there to work on them if they need it.
Mm-hmm. Do you miss racing yourself?
You know, Dr. Qubein, I did to start with. I got out of the car in 1981 and put Dale Earnhardt. I ran the first 20 races and put Dale Earnhardt in back then for the last 10. And boy, I felt like going to that first race and not being a driver, I was totally lost. So I missed it for about the first year, and then I said, you know, I'm kind of enjoying watching what's
happening.
Yeah. And making. We won our first race, Cup race with Ricky Rudd in 1982 at Riverside, California. And we brought Dale in 84. So those are the things that's history's all about.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about wine. I want to know, what is it that a NASCAR race driver knows about wine, Richard? You built the Childress wineries and vineyards, and you're doing very well with it. What got you in it? What got you interested in it? And why would you take such a risk?
You know, people say, well, you know, if you want to make $1 million, you start with it and you lose it. But I used to go to Riverside, California in the early 70s. And Riverside in Ontario was actually bigger wine country than Napa was at the time, or is big. And we'd go there after practice and qualifying, and you'd drink wine. It was free. So I said, someday I want to get a winery. And then we went to Sonoma and started racing there in the Finger Lakes in New York. Met a lot of friends, and I said, you know, I'm going to do a winery. And had it all planned, and 9/11 happened. I was going to do a small winery at my farm. 9/11 happened, and I changed my mind on how to build all of our company buildings and everything. So we built a winery where it is, and it's one of the funnest, greatest things I've done, and it's became a really good, successful business.
How does one build a winery?
Well, you start out by planting your grapes and having a vision and getting the right people. It's like in everything that you do here, everywhere we go, it's all about people. That's my saying. I'm just Richard Childress. I wouldn't be here or do anything if it wasn't for all the people that I've been able to surround myself with. You hire the right people, you have the vision of how you want it to be.
But how did you know how to hire the right people in a business you knew nothing about?
I knew a little about it from knowing the friends and meeting the people in California.
Okay.
I was educating myself. I read several books on about wine.
I see.
To educate myself a little bit before I just dove in. But I started looking at really top winemakers. I think the first thing we needed was to get a winemaker that was world class, that had so much success. Mark Frislowski is our winemaker and been there since day one. And he is such a, he helps make it. You got to have a good product to keep growing. And we started out with a couple of thousand cases, and today we're over 80,000 cases in sales, and hopefully in another year we'll hit 100,000. That's one of the goals I have.
Is that a per year?
Yes. Oh, yeah. We do 80,000 cases a year.
Per year. And you sell it to who? Restaurants or individuals? Or?
We have the winery itself. We do probably 40%, 30% there maybe. And then we do weddings and all of these different things. But then we have a wholesale group that's out. I think we're in 7 states, and that's where we sell most of the wine, is in grocery stores and chains and restaurants.
So Richard, you're in the wine business. You are in the racing business in a big way. How many employees do you have at RCR?
We have about 450 right now.
450. So 50 of them are engineers. What do the other 400 do?
Work on everything from building the chassis to the cars. We're self-efficient. We do everything at our race shop. Shops down there, we have a machine shop that builds all of our stuff. We have an engine shop that is called ECR, that we build all of our engines. We have a big customer base too. We build engines for like 7 or 8 other teams in the Cup. We'll be building 8 customers in the Xfinity next year. So we have a big customer base, and we build cars for other customers. And now we branched out into military and so
In the
many
military?
Yeah.
What do you do in the military?
Well, we just built a concept vehicle for the, I think it was the Special Forces, and now we're going to build some more of them. It's a 6x6 that they're using. We do a lot of work for General Dynamics and FN and a lot of companies like that we build a lot of, do a lot of prototype working, and we have a big project now with BEV, Believe Energy Ventures, which is very, very, very interesting. I got in for that. And anybody that tells you they don't do it for the money, they're lying. You got to make a profit. But for what they're trying to do for the environment, that's why I wanted to be involved with it.
Interesting. So you have diversified measurably from just racing, NASCAR racing.
Yes, one of the things, the talent that we have at RCR and ECR, and just moved one of my businesses down from Indiana to Lexington, Davidson County. It's called Childress Technologies. We do a lot of different work over there, and so you got to diversify in today's world, because NASCAR came with a new car, the next gen car, and I could see it 4 or 5 years ago where the sport was headed. So that's when I started diversifying more and more out.
And you have done a lot in the charitable world. I'm familiar, for example, with some of them. Medical children's functions at Wake Forest. What is that? What does it do?
That's the Childress Institute for Pediatric Trauma. Pediatric trauma is the #1 killer of our children in America today. It's more than all the other diseases, everything you can think of.
What is pediatric trauma?
That is a small child that falls or riding a four-wheeler and flips over and hurts himself, or football, soccer, girls.
I see.
You know, we do a lot of work with Wake Forest and the University of Virginia with helmets and ways to prevent first. And then we have the medical staff. It's nationwide. That we work with a lot of hospitals all over the country to bring in knowledge and help the research. When a child does get hurt, what is the best thing we can do? When an accident happens, and if it's a child or a person like you and I, they're going to come to us first, because a lot of them don't know what to do for that child. So we're educating that too.
That must be very fulfilling for you to know that you have used some of your success in life to help others in this way.
Yes, I think our family, we all wanted to do this, to go out, and children is our future, any way you look at it. And I've got great-grandchildren today and grandchildren, and they'll have children. So the future of this country is in their hands, and we have to do everything we can to protect them. Children does get hurt. Also working with a group called Rock Solid Foundation, which we go out and build these play sets for children that have cancer, small children. Because the first thing a child loses when they find out they got cancer is the right to go out and play. So we go to their homes and build them play sets.
Really?
Yeah.
And where do you do that?
Wherever the child's needed. You know, we have programs all over. I'm involved with them. It's ran out of Virginia. I think we built maybe 14 or 15 play sets, RCR and ECR. Great team building opportunity.
Yes.
And but to see the families smile and tears when you see a child that has cancer and you bring a smile. They forget all about cancer. So those are the things I really enjoy, is doing stuff for our children.
Yes, and we thank you for doing all of that, Richard. Tell me about you now. You're not retired. You're very active in the business. Do you get up early in the morning and go to work and stay there all day? Do you direct the strategic planning? Do you chair the board? What do you do?
A little bit of all of that. But, you know, I try to get in bed at 9 and I'm up at 5 usually, and get ready, sit in there and go over a lot of stuff that I want to do that day. I walk for 2.5 miles in the morning around the vineyards at my house. And, but I run the board. I'm still the CEO. I have 2 presidents, or 3 now, that run different areas of businesses I have. I work directly with most of them. And I like to not micromanage. I like to see people go out and do their thing, and I'm there to help them. Or if I see something I need to say, hey, we need to take a look at this way. That's the way I do business. But I'm very, very blessed to be where I am today, health-wise. Knock on wood, we all are. And to be able to go and do the things that I still like to do.
Yes. Richard, if you had to live your life over again, what would you do differently?
There's only 2 or 3 maybe things I would do different. You know, I would have served in the military during the Vietnam War, but my daughter Tina was born and I didn't get to go in at that time. I would have liked to have served in the military. So today I do everything we can for our military possible, because we owe it to our military. They're the reason we're all here today. Probably the second thing, I would have spent more time with my daughter when I was coming up, because I was racing. I was traveling all over the U.S. racing and didn't really have the opportunity. But today I spend more time with Austin and the great-grandchildren, because they're at the racetracks. So that's a couple of things I would do.
What's next for you?
That's a good question. I want to write that book I've been
You
talking
gotta
to
write
you
that
about
book.
for several years. And,
It's
but,
an
you know,
autobiographical book you want to write.
Yes. I think that, you know, I'd like to work on that here in another year, and I want to win another championship in the Cup. I love winning, and life's about winning. I think if anything you do, you want to be good at it, and I want to see that. I want to see success for all of our businesses.
Who in your journey in life that you met, that you valued tremendously? A person you met, a mentor, a teacher, a partner?
You know, I've had a couple. I go back so many years. I used to work at Douglas Battery in Winston-Salem. And Mr. G.W. Douglas, just watching him and listening to him, and him taking me kind of under his wings at that time, and having me to take responsibility at 18, 19 years old, 20 years old. And then Mr. Bill France Jr. Was probably my biggest mentor. I had mentors in racing, Junior Johnson, but I think Bill France Jr. Had taught me as much about business and success, and you know, that they're 2 that really stand out, and Junior Johnson from the racing side.
What is it that you want people to remember you for? You've done many things. You have a lot of fans. You made a lot of connections across the country and beyond. What is it that would make you happy, that you would say, people remember Richard Childress for what?
That he was honest. He always spoke what he felt, and he was a very honest person when it come to being with around people and friends and family. And I just think that, to me, the ethics in life is big, and I want people to remember me as this guy was a very ethical person, and not so much about racing and winning championships and stuff like that. That's great. That's history. But when someone's talking about you, you want to say, well, this guy was one guy you could believe in. He was an honest dude.
What is the one thing you tell Austin and Ty as they're winning now races and they're becoming famous in their own right? What do you tell them as a reminder for good living?
You know, I think look out for the future. You know, be prepared for anything that you can in the future. Be honest, be respectful. And NASCAR is the reason we're all here, our family and both of them. Be honest with our race fans and give them everything you can. If you walk over a kid wants an autograph and you got to go somewhere, take that extra second.
Yeah.
And you can take a second out of your life, a few seconds, and change a memory in someone's life forever. You know?
And NASCAR drivers are very good at that. They're very, very caring for their fans. Richard, it's wonderful to have you with me side by side. Best wishes, and I look forward to reading that book.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for everything you have done for our area and community. Wouldn't be here without you.
Thank you, sir.
Funding for Side by Side with Nido Qubein is made possible by
Here's to those that rise and shine, to friendly faces doing more than their part, and to those who still enjoy the little things. You make it feel like home. Ashley Home Store. This is home.
The Bud Group is a company of everyday leaders making a difference by providing facility solutions through customized janitorial, landscape, and maintenance services.
Coca-Cola Consolidated is honored to make and serve 300 brands and flavors locally. Thanks to our teammates. We are Coca-Cola Consolidated, your local bottler.